Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto met Kurama as a kid? Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Naruto Uzumaki bolted upright in bed, sweat beading on his 6-year-old forehead. The nightmare again. Villagers with blank faces, their whispers like knives. Monster, demon child, stay away. His tiny apartment creaked in the midnight silence of Konoha. Moonlight slashed through half-drawn curtains, casting prison bar shadows across his rumpled bedsheets. Stupid dream, he muttered, punching his pillow. Why did they all hate him? What had he ever done? You've done nothing. It's what I did. Naruto froze. The voice hadn't come from outside. It had resonated from somewhere deep within him, guttural, ancient, and unmistakably alive. Who's there? He squeaked, scanning the empty room. Is someone hiding? I'm not hiding, child. I've been here your entire life. The boy clutched his stomach instinctively. Something hot and electric coursed through his veins. Inside me? A low rumble. Was that laughter? Echoed through his mind. Smart for a kid. Yes. Inside you. Imprisoned within you since the day of your birth. The air in the room seemed to thicken. Naruto's vision swam, reality tilting sideways. He blinked, and suddenly he wasn't in his apartment anymore. Cold water soaked his feet. He stood in a vast, dimly lit chamber. Massive pipes ran along the ceiling, and before him loomed an enormous cage, its bars thick as tree trunks. A paper seal marked the gate, and behind it, two enormous crimson eyes gleamed in the darkness. What? Where am I? What are you? Naruto's voice echoed in the cavernous space. The creature shifted, and Naruto caught glimpses of burnt orange fur, a massive jaw, and 9 undulating tails. I am Kurama, the 9-tailed fox. And you, Naruto Uzumaki, are my Jinchuriki, my prison. Naruto stumbled backward, splashing in the ankle-deep water. The 9-tailed fox? But the 4th Hokage killed you. That's what they taught us. A sound like thunder shook the chamber. Kurama's bitter laughter. Killed me? Bijou cannot be killed, child. Only contained. Your precious 4th Hokage sealed me inside his own son. The world seemed to stop. His son? Naruto whispered. Kurama's massive eyes narrowed. They never told you, did they? Minato Namikaze was your father. Kushina Uzumaki, my previous host, was your mother. Both sacrificed themselves the night of your birth. The night I was forced to attack your village. Forced? Naruto's mind reeled. My parents? The 4th was my dad. That can't. You're lying. Why would I lie? What purpose would it serve? One massive tail slapped against the floor, sending waves rippling outward. Think, kid. Why else would the village scorn the orphan child of their beloved hero? Because they see only me when they look at you. Pieces clicked into place. The cold stares, the whispers, the loneliness that had defined his existence. Tears streamed down Naruto's face. But alongside the grief burned something new, anger. If that's true, if my dad was really the 4th, then why did everyone keep it from me? Why does everyone treat me like garbage? Fear. Humans fear what they don't understand. And there is much about that night you don't know. The massive fox shifted, stretching to his full height within the confines of the cage. His 9-tailed swished through the darkness, creating ghostly patterns. I propose an arrangement, Naruto Uzumaki. I've watched you suffer for 6 years. You crave acknowledgement, connection. I can give you power, knowledge. In return, perhaps you might consider making my imprisonment more tolerable. What do you mean? Naruto wiped his eyes. This seal doesn't just imprison me. It strangles my chakra, forces me into slumber most of the time. Allow me to see through your eyes, to experience the world. Let me teach you to use my power properly, not in the crippled way your village would prefer. Then perhaps both our lives might improve. Naruto stared at the massive creature, fear warring with curiosity. How do I know you won't try to escape? Or take over my body or something? Kurama's mouth pulled back in what might have been a grin or a snarl. The seal prevents it. Believe me, if I could have escaped, I would have done so long ago. No, kid, I'm offering a partnership. Consider it. You, the scorned orphan, and I, the demonized bijou. Perhaps together we might find some measure of respect. The offer hung in the air between them. Naruto's young mind raced with possibilities. Every instinct told him to run from this monster. The same monster that had orphaned him, that had caused the village to hate him, but the fox had called him Kit. No one in the village had ever given him a nickname that wasn't meant to hurt. If I agree, will you tell me about my parents? Everything you know? The massive eyes blinked slowly. Yes. That and much more. Naruto stepped forward, the water rippling around his small feet. Then I'll do it. But you better not be tricking me, you hear? Something shifted in Kurama's gaze. Surprise, perhaps, or the barest glimmer of respect. Very well, Naruto Uzumaki. Our pact is made, unknown to either of them. This midnight conversation in the depths of Naruto's subconscious would forever alter the fate of not just the hidden leaf, but the entire shinobi world. Naruto awoke the next morning with sunlight streaming across his face, and the strangest feeling that he wasn't alone anymore. Focus, Kit. Again, Naruto gritted his teeth, sweat running down his temples as he sat cross-legged in the forest clearing. 2 weeks had passed since his first conversation with Kurama, and the fox had wasted no time beginning Naruto's training. I'm trying, he hissed under his breath, careful not to speak aloud and draw attention from any potential observers. He'd learned quickly to communicate with Kurama mentally. This chakra control stuff is hard. Naruto complained silently. Why can't we start with cool jutsu? A rumble of annoyance vibrated through his mind. Because your chakra network is a disaster. You have my vast reserves combined with your own Uzumaki heritage, but your control is abysmal. Without proper control, you'll never reach your potential. Grudgingly, Naruto closed his eyes again, trying to visualize his chakra as Kurama had instructed. A swirling blue current intertwined with threads of crimson. His goal, to separate a single strand of blue chakra and direct it to his fingertip. After 5 more frustrating attempts, his index finger finally glowed with a faint blue light. I did it! He exclaimed aloud, forgetting his own caution. Acceptable, Kurama acknowledged, though Naruto detected a hint of approval beneath the fox's gruff tone. Now do it 9 more times without pause. Naruto groaned but complied. Since their pact, he'd learned more about himself in 2 weeks than in his entire life before. Kurama had confirmed what he'd glimpsed in their first meeting, that Naruto was the son of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Kushina Uzumaki, the previous Jinchuriki of the 9 Tails. The fox had been surprisingly forthcoming, explaining how a masked man had attacked during Naruto's birth, extracted Kurama from Kushina when the seal was weakened, and used his Sharingan to force Kurama to attack the village. I was merely a weapon that night, Kurama had explained, his voice a mixture of rage and something almost like shame. The Uchiha's cursed eyes bent my will to his purpose. Learning the truth behind the attack had complicated Naruto's feelings about his tenant. The fox was prickly, impatient, and clearly not fond of humans. But he hadn't chosen to orphan Naruto or curse him to a life of isolation. A twig snapped nearby. Naruto's concentration shattered, the chakra dissipating from his fingertips. Talking to yourself, dead last? Naruto whirled to find Sasuke Uchiha watching him from the edge of the clearing. Arms crossed, trademark scowl in place. Uchiha, Kurama growled within him, his chakra flaring hot with ancient hatred. Easy, Naruto cautioned the fox. He's just a kid like me. He didn't do anything. What do you want, Sasuke? Naruto called, climbing to his feet. The dark-haired boy shrugged. You missed 3 days of the academy. Iruka-sensei made me check if you were dead. Naruto's eyes widened. He'd been so absorbed in Kurama's training that he'd completely forgotten about school. Oh crap! Is he mad? What do you think? Sasuke turned to leave, then hesitated. What were you doing out here anyway? That didn't look like the academy's basic chakra exercise. Lie, Kurama advised. Trust no one with our secret yet, especially not an Uchiha. But something in Sasuke's expression, a flicker of genuine curiosity breaking through his usual indifference, made Naruto hesitate. I'm training, he said finally. My own way. Sasuke studied him, dark eyes unreadable. HN. Well, it's not working. Your form is terrible. Before Naruto could protest, Sasuke demonstrated the Academy's standard meditation pose. Like this. Otherwise, you're wasting your chakra. The Uchiha Brad is actually correct, Kurama admitted grudgingly. Though I'd sooner lose another tail than acknowledge it. Naruto blinked in surprise at both Sasuke's unexpected advice and Kurama's admission. Thanks? Sasuke was already walking away. Whatever. Just show up tomorrow. I'm not covering for you again. As the Uchiha heir disappeared among the trees, Naruto felt Kurama's restless energy churning within him. Be wary of that one kid. The Sharingan blood runs strong in him. The same eyes that have enslaved me throughout history, Naruto frowned. But he's just a kid with a stick up his butt. He doesn't even have his Sharingan yet. You're both children now, Kurama acknowledged. But you'll grow, and so will he. History has a way of repeating itself when it comes to Uchiha and power. That night, as Naruto lay in bed, Kurama's lessons took a different turn. It's time you learned about the others like you, the fox said suddenly. Others? Naruto rolled onto his side, intrigued. Other Jinchuriki. 8 others, to be precise. Each containing one of my siblings. Naruto sat bolt upright. There are others like me? He whispered aloud. In different villages, yes. 9 bijou, 9 hosts. Some treated as weapons, others as monsters. All feared. For the next hour, Kurama described each of the tailed beasts, and what little he knew of their current hosts. Shikaku the one-tail, sealed within a boy in Suna not much older than Naruto himself. Matatabi the two-tails, host unknown but likely in Kumogakure. Aisabu the three-tails, recently released after its previous host died, and so on through all 9. So there's a kid in Suna going through the same stuff as me? Naruto's heart raced at the thought of someone else who might understand his loneliness. Perhaps worse, Kurama rumbled. Shikaku has always been unstable, and from the rumors that reach even my prison, his host is not permitted to sleep. Not allowed to sleep? That's horrible. Such is the fate of many Jinchuriki. You've been fortunate in some ways, Kit. No one has tried to weaponize you. Yet, Naruto lay back, mind spinning with new revelations. Other kids like him. Other villages. A world much bigger and more complex than the boundaries of Konoha. I want to meet them someday. He whispered into the darkness of his apartment. All of them. Kurama was silent for a long moment. That would be unprecedented. Jinchuriki are kept apart by design. Villages guard their bijou jealously. I don't care, Naruto thought fiercely. No one should have to feel alone like I did. As he drifted toward sleep, a new resolution formed in his young mind. He would become strong enough to find these others, to understand them. Strong enough to change how the world saw Jinchuriki. Sleep now, Kurama's voice rumbled through his consciousness. Tomorrow we begin real training. Naruto Uzumaki! Irika's voice cracked like a whip across the classroom. Naruto jolted, head snapping up from where it had been drooping toward his desk. Why yes, Irika-sensei? He stammered. The Scarface Chunin's eye twitched. This is the 3rd time I've caught you napping in class this week. Care to explain why my lectures are so boring? Titters spread through the classroom. Naruto flushed, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. Little help here? He pleaded mentally. Tell him the truth. You were up all night practicing water walking and chakra control, Kurama replied. Perhaps seeing your dedication will soften his response. I was training last night, Irika-sensei. Naruto explained. Working on my chakra control until really late. I guess I overdid it. Something in Irika's expression shifted, surprise, then thoughtfulness. It wasn't the excuse he'd expected from the class troublemaker. See me after class? He said finally, turning back to the blackboard. Beside Naruto, Shikamaru and Nara raised an eyebrow. Training? You, he whispered. Believe it. Naruto whispered back with a grin. The truth was more complicated than anyone in the academy could guess. For the past 3 months, Naruto had been living a double life. By day, he attended classes, still struggling with written exams but showing occasional, surprising improvements in practical skills. By night, he trained under Kurama's exacting tutelage in remote training grounds. The fox was a harsh teacher, demanding precision and dedication that no one who knew Naruto would have believed him capable of. But Kurama had been imprisoned in two Uzumaki Jinchuriki before him, and knew the clan's potential better than anyone alive in Konoha. Your mother could manifest chakra chains that could restrain even me, Kurama had told him during one training session. Your father developed the Rasengan and mastered the Flying Thunder God technique. Mediocrity is not in your blood, kid. After class, Naruto approached Iruka's desk with uncharacteristic quietness. Sensei, about earlier, Iruka sighed, setting down his papers. Naruto, if you're serious about becoming a shinobi, you can't neglect your studies, no matter how much you train physically. I know, but... Naruto hesitated, then plunged ahead. The written stuff is really hard for me. I try to read the textbooks, but the words get all jumbled, and I can't sit still that long. Tell him about the practical training, Kurama prompted. Show him something, but I have been working on chakra control. Naruto continued, brightening. Watch this. Before Iruka could protest, Naruto channeled chakra to his feet and walked straight up the classroom wall, stopping halfway to the ceiling with a triumphant grin. See? Iruka's jaw dropped. While walking was a genin-level skill, not something academy students typically mastered, especially not the dead last of the class. Naruto, that's... Iruka stood, visibly reassessing his problem student. Who taught you that? Naruto froze. He and Kurama had prepared cover stories for his improvement, but direct questions were tricky. Tell him you found an old training manual, Kurama suggested quickly. Not entirely false. I am very old. After all, I found a manual in the library, Naruto said, dropping back to the floor. Figured I'd try teaching myself since I'm not great at the classroom stuff. Iruka studied him for a long moment. I see. Well, that shows initiative, but... He seemed to come to a decision. How about this? If you promise to stay awake in class, I'll help you with some extra training after school once a week. Naruto's eyes widened. Really? You mean it? Really? Iruka confirmed with a small smile. But you'll have to work twice as hard on your written assignments too. Deal? Deal! Naruto agreed instantly, beaming. As he left the academy, Naruto practically bounced with excitement. Did you hear that, Kurama? Iruka-sensei's gonna train me too. Humph. The human might prove useful, Kurama acknowledged. More importantly, this gives us legitimate cover for your improvement. No one will question skills taught by an academy instructor. You're always thinking about the sneaky stuff, Naruto accused, though without heat. One of us must. Your natural inclination is to shout your secrets from the mountaintop. Naruto couldn't exactly argue with that assessment. Keeping his bond with Kurama secret these past months had been one of the hardest things he'd ever done. Several times, he nearly blurted everything to Iruka or the third Hokage during their occasional ramen dinners. Speaking of the old monkey, Kurama interrupted his thoughts. He's watching you right now. Left rooftop, and guard with a bird mask. Naruto resisted the urge to look up. Through their strengthening bond, Kurama had begun sharing his enhanced senses with Naruto, including the ability to detect the chakra signatures of those watching him. It had been a disturbing revelation to discover just how often he was under surveillance. Why are they still watching me? Don't they trust me? Naruto thought bitterly. They don't trust me, Kurama corrected. And with good reason, though not the reasons they believe. That cryptic statement was typical of the fox. For all his newfound openness, Kurama still had secrets, depths he hadn't shared with Naruto. The boy suspected there was much more to the Bija's history than he'd been told. That evening found Naruto in his mindscape, standing before Kurama's cage. Over time, he'd learned to enter this space at will, no longer requiring emotional distress to trigger the connection. Why do you hate the Uchiha so much? He asked abruptly. It was a question he'd been working up the courage to ask for weeks. Kurama's massive form shifted in the shadows behind the bars. What brought this on? Sasuke, I guess, Naruto admitted. You always get angry when I'm around him. The fox was silent for so long that Naruto thought he might refuse to answer. Finally, Kurama moved forward into the dim light, his giant muzzle nearly touching the bars. The Sharingan has been used to enslave me twice, he said, voice low and dangerous. First by Madara Uchiha, who claimed to fight for his clan but sought only power for himself. And then, the night of your birth, by another Uchiha whose name remains unknown to me. Naruto frowned. But Sasuke didn't do any of that. No, Kurama acknowledged. But the potential lives in his blood. I have existed for centuries, Kit. I've seen how history repeats itself, how the same sins are committed generation after generation. That's not fair, Naruto argued. You can't blame someone for stuff they haven't even done. Kurama's eyes narrowed. Is that not exactly what your precious village has done to you? The barb struck home. Naruto had no answer for that. I do not ask that you share my hatred, Kurama continued more softly. But understand it. And be cautious. The path you walk now, our partnership, would be seen as dangerous by many in your village, including those who wear the Uchiha crest. Sasuke's alone too, you know, Naruto said quietly. His whole clan was murdered by his brother. Everyone's gone except him. Something shifted in Kurama's gaze. A flicker of surprise, then calculation. The entire Uchiha clan? When did this occur? A few years ago. It's why he's so, angry all the time. Naruto kicked at the water pooling around his feet. Sometimes I think maybe he and I could understand each other better than anyone else could. We're both alone. Not you, Kurama said with unexpected gentleness. You are not alone anymore, Kit. The simple statement warmed Naruto from the inside out. Yeah, he agreed with a small smile. I guess I'm not. As weeks turned to months, Naruto's improvement at the academy became impossible to ignore. Though still struggling with written exams, his taijutsu had become sharper, his chakra control more refined. No longer did he waste enormous amounts of energy on simple jutsu. Instead, he had begun to show a precision that baffled his instructors. Iruka's weekly training sessions had expanded to include occasional weekend lessons as well. The Chunin had discovered that Naruto learned best through physical demonstration and practical application rather than lectures and reading. With adjusted teaching methods, Naruto's progress accelerated further. Not everyone was pleased by this development. The demon brat's up to something. Naruto overheard one instructor mutter to another. No way he improved this much legitimately. Ignore them, Kurama advised when he felt Naruto's chakra spike with anger. Their opinions are irrelevant to your growth. Easy for you to say, Naruto shot back. You're not the one they're always watching like you're about to sprout extra tails and eat everybody. Despite his frustration, Naruto followed Kurama's advice and focused on his training. The fox had begun teaching him about his elemental affinity, wind, it turned out, and the basics of nature transformation. Your father was also wind-natured, Kurama had told him. It's uncommon in the land of fire, which might work to your advantage. Few will be prepared to counter it. With each passing day, the bond between boy and Bijou strengthened. Kurama, who had once viewed Naruto as merely a means to a more comfortable imprisonment, found himself increasingly invested in the boy's development. And Naruto, who had first agreed to their pact out of loneliness and curiosity, now genuinely valued the fox's guidance and companionship. Neither could have predicted how deeply their partnership would alter the course of events to come. The kunai whistled through the air, striking the target dead center with a solid thunk. 9 more followed in rapid succession, each hitting precisely where intended, a feat that would have been impressive for a genin, let alone an academy student. Again, Naruto muttered to himself, retrieving the weapons. At 10 years old, he had grown several inches in the past year, though he remained shorter than most of his classmates. His movements had lost their childish clumsiness, replaced by a fluid efficiency that spoke of countless hours of practice. You're being watched, Kurama warned, his voice a constant presence in Naruto's mind. Not the usual ANBU. Someone different. Where? Naruto continued gathering his kunai, giving no outward sign of awareness. Northern tree line. Mass chakra, but not completely concealed from me. Root, I suspect. Naruto tensed slightly. Though he never encountered them personally, Kurama had explained what little he knew about Root, the shadowy faction of ANBU that operated outside the Hokage's direct authority, led by the elder Danzo Shimura. What do they want? Your improvement hasn't gone unnoticed, Kit. You've been careful, but not careful enough. 4 years ago, you were dead last. Now you're solidly in the upper quarter of your class without any obvious explanation. Naruto resisted the urge to look toward the trees. Should we run? No. Act naturally. Finish your training, then head directly to populated areas. They won't approach with witnesses. Swallowing his unease, Naruto completed his weapons practice before moving on to his daily chakra control exercises. Over the years, these had grown increasingly complex. Today, he was attempting to form a Rasengan, his father's signature technique, which Kurama had described in meticulous detail. A sphere of chakra appeared above his palm, wobbly at first but gradually stabilizing. Still imperfect, but closer than he'd managed before. Enough, Kurama instructed. Don't reveal everything you can do. The Watcher is still there. Naruto let the jutsu dissipate, pretending frustration by kicking at the dirt before gathering his equipment and heading back toward the village proper. As he walked, he fell into the practiced routine of mental conversation with Kurama, a skill they'd refined to prevent others from realizing he was communicating with the fox. Do you think they'll report to the old man? Perhaps. More likely to Danzo first. The Warhawk has always coveted the power of Jinchuriki. The thought sent a chill down Naruto's spine. What should we do? Accelerate our plans, Kurama decided. We've been too cautious about your progress. Better to reveal some of your abilities formally than have them discovered through surveillance. It had been their strategy all along. Improve steadily but not so dramatically as to raise suspicion, with explanations ready for any noticeable advancement. Iruka's mentorship provided cover for much of Naruto's growth, and the boy had carefully maintained his reputation as a prankster to distract from his increasing skills. But now it seemed their careful balancing act was in jeopardy. The graduation exam is in 6 months, Naruto thought. Should we wait until then? No. We need to establish your abilities publicly sooner. Tomorrow, in Taijutsu class, don't hold back as much. Let yourself rank in the top 3. Against Sasuke? Naruto questioned, surprised. Until now, Kurama had advised against drawing the Uchiha's focused attention. Yes. If Root is watching, better to have your abilities attributed to rivalry with the last Uchiha than to other influences. The next day, Naruto entered the academy with a curious mixture of nervousness and anticipation. As always, he loudly greeted his classmates, maintaining the energetic persona he'd cultivated, though those who paid close attention might have noticed that his pranks had become less frequent and more sophisticated over the years. When taijutsu practice began in the afternoon, Mizuki-sensei called for volunteers for the first sparring match. Naruto's hand shot up immediately. I'll do it! Mizuki's smile didn't reach his eyes. Very well. Uzumaki versus. His gaze swept the room, landing on Sasuke. Uchiha, a murmur rippled through the students. Though Naruto had improved, Sasuke remained the undisputed top student in their year. The brooding Uchiha stepped into the sparring circle with his usual confidence, regarding Naruto with mild curiosity rather than his usual dismissal. He's noticed my improvement, Naruto realized. Even though I've been hiding it. Standard Academy rules, Mizuki announced. Match ends with a clean takedown or when I call it. Begin! Sasuke settled into the Academy's standard fighting stance. Naruto mirrored him, but with subtle adjustments Kurama had taught him. Weight distributed differently, guards slightly higher. For a moment neither moved. Then Sasuke charged, opening with a straight punch that would have caught most students off guard. Naruto sidestepped, using the momentum to flow around Sasuke's strike rather than blocking it directly. As he moved, his hand snapped out, tagging Sasuke's ribs before dancing away. Surprise flashed across Sasuke's face, quickly replaced by focused intensity. He attacked again, this time with a combination of strikes that drove Naruto backward. Some Naruto evaded, others he blocked, absorbing the impact with techniques designed to minimize damage. Now, Kurama instructed. Show enough to make an impression, but don't humiliate him. That would only create an enemy. When Sasuke committed to a powerful kick, Naruto dropped underneath it and swept the Uchiha's planted leg. As Sasuke began to fall, Naruto seized his arm, using his own momentum to flip him cleanly onto his back. The training ground fell silent. Sasuke lay on the ground, winded and wide-eyed. Naruto stood over him for a moment before offering his hand. Good match, he said, grinning. Sasuke stared at the offered hand, conflict evident in his expression. Pride warred with a grudging respect. After a moment, he accepted Naruto's help up. How did you get so fast? He demanded quietly. Training, Naruto replied with a shrug. Lots of it. Mizuki's voice cut through the moment, tight with poorly concealed displeasure. Match to Uzumaki. The rest of the day passed in a blur of whispers and reassessments. Naruto caught Irika watching him with a thoughtful expression but avoided his teacher's eyes. He had just upset the established order of the academy, and he wasn't sure what the consequences would be. He got his answer sooner than expected. As he left the academy grounds, an ANBU operative with a cat mask appeared before him in a swirl of leaves. Naruto Uzumaki, the masked figure stated. The Hokage requests your presence immediately. Here we go. Kurama rumbled as Naruto followed the ANBU toward the Hokage tower. Remember what we discussed. Partial truths are more convincing than complete fabrications. The third Hokage was not alone when they arrived. Beside his desk stood a tall man with spiky silver hair, most of his face concealed by a mask, one eye covered by his Hittite. Kakashi Hatake, Kurama identified immediately. Your father's student. The copy ninja. Ah, Naruto. Please come in. The third greeted, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. Do you know why I've called you here? Naruto projected innocence. Did I do something wrong, old man? The Hokage's weathered face creased in a smile. Not at all. In fact, I hear you've been doing exceptionally well lately. Irika speaks highly of your progress, and today you defeated the top student in your year in taijutsu. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Yeah, well, I've been training really hard, so it seems, the third agreed. That's actually why I wanted to talk to you. Your improvement has been remarkable. The silver-haired Jonin, Kakashi, leaned against the wall, his visible eye fixed on Naruto with unnerving intensity. The thing is, the Hokage continued carefully, such dramatic improvement is unusual without specialized training. Naruto, if someone has been teaching you outside of the academy, it's important that you tell us. You're not in trouble, but there are security concerns we must consider, as expected, Kurama commented. They suspect outside interference. Use the explanation we prepared. Naruto fidgeted in his seat, a calculated gesture. Well, I found some scrolls, he admitted, the words coming out in a rehearsed rush. In the library archives. Old training manuals and stuff. I know I probably wasn't supposed to be back there, but nobody stopped me, and I just wanted to learn, you know? The Hokage exchanged a glance with Kakashi. What kind of scrolls, Naruto? Basic chakra control exercises at first. Naruto explained. Then some taijutsu forms that worked better for me than the academy style. And, he hesitated, then pushed forward. And some stuff about wind chakra, wind nature transformation? Kakashi spoke for the first time, his tone betraying mild surprise. That's advanced for an academy student, Naruto shrugged. The scroll said I should learn my nature first, then build on that. And I've been practicing the leaf-cutting exercise for months. The third lit his pipe, his eyes never leaving Naruto's face. I see. And have you discovered anything else in these scrolls? Careful, Kurama warned. He's probing for how much you know about your heritage. Just training stuff. Naruto replied, looking down at his hands. Then, because a completely oblivious Naruto would be suspicious after all these years of improvement. And I know about the fox now. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The Hokage's gaze sharpened, and Kakashi straightened from his casual pose. What exactly do you know? The third asked, his voice carefully neutral. That the Nine Tails is sealed inside me, Naruto said quietly. That's why everyone in the village looks at me the way they do. I found a history scroll about the attack, and it said the fourth Hokage defeated the fox by sealing it into a newborn. It wasn't hard to figure out it was me. It was a calculated revelation, one that explained his knowledge without admitting to communication with Kurama. Naruto watched anxiety and relief war on the old Hokage's face. Naruto, I wanted to tell you when you were older. The third began, regret evident in his voice. The fourth wanted you to be seen as a hero, but I feared the knowledge would be too much of a burden for a child. It's okay, old man, Naruto said with a small smile. Finding out on my own, it actually helped me. I think. Made me want to train harder, to prove that I'm not what they think I am. The Hokage studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I'm sorry you had to learn that way. But I'm proud of how you've handled it. He puffed on his pipe, seemingly coming to a decision. Given your progress, perhaps it's time we discuss your future as a shinobi more seriously. Here it comes, Kurama murmured. How would you feel about specialized training, Naruto? The third continued. In addition to your academy studies, Naruto blinked, genuinely surprised by the offer. With who? The Hokage gestured to Kakashi. Kakashi-sen here was a student of the fourth Hokage. He has agreed to assess your skills and provide guidance, particularly regarding your wind nature, which is uncommon in Konoha. Interesting, Kurama mused. They're assigning your father's student to watch you, both to guide and to monitor. Really? Naruto exclaimed, allowing his natural excitement to show. That would be awesome. We'll start tomorrow morning, Kakashi said, his visible eye crinkling in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. Training ground 7, 6 o'clock. After a few more minutes of discussion, Naruto was dismissed. As he walked home through the darkening streets of Konoha, his mind raced with the implications of this new development. Is this good or bad for us? He asked Kurama. Both, the fox replied thoughtfully. Closer observation, but also legitimate access to higher-level training. Hatake will be watching for signs of my influence, but he can also teach you techniques I cannot properly demonstrate from within you. Do you think they believed my story about the scrolls? Partially. The Hokage surely knows that basic training scrolls wouldn't account for all your improvement. But our explanation gives him a plausible alternative to the feared scenario, that my chakra is influencing you against your will. Naruto nodded to himself. They threaded the needle as best they could, acknowledging his growth without revealing the full truth of his partnership with Kurama. The next morning, Naruto arrived at Training Ground 7 precisely at 6. By 7, Kakashi had still not appeared. By 8, Naruto had begun to wonder if he'd misunderstood the instructions. Be patient, Kurama advised. Use this time to meditate. Focus on the exercise we were practicing yesterday. Naruto settled into a cross-legged position, closing his eyes and centering his breathing. Within his mindscape, he stood before the massive gate holding Kurama, now a familiar and oddly comforting sight. What do you think Kakashi-sensei will teach me? He asked aloud in this private mental space. Hard to say, Kurama replied, shifting his enormous form to a more comfortable position. But I suspect he'll test you thoroughly first. The question is whether he'll be forthright about your heritage. That was something Naruto had thought about often. Though Kurama had revealed his parentage years ago, Naruto had never confronted the third about it. The old man clearly wanted to keep it secret, likely for Naruto's protection given his father's enemies. If he doesn't tell me about my dad, should I let him know I already know? No, Kurama said firmly. That knowledge is too specific. It would raise questions about how you learn it. Better to let him believe you're still ignorant of that particular truth. It was nearly 9 o'clock when Naruto sensed an approaching chakra signature. He'd extended his sensory range as Kurama had taught him, creating a bubble of awareness that stretched several hundred meters in every direction. Yo! Kakashi called lazily as he strolled into the clearing. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way around. Naruto couldn't help the incredulous look that crossed his face. You're 3 hours late because of a cat? Was it 3 hours? Kakashi pulled out a small orange book. I hadn't noticed. He's testing your patience, Kurama noted, and observing how you react to provocation. Well, two can play that game, Naruto thought with a mental grin. That's okay, Kakashi-sensei, he said cheerfully. I was just practicing my chakra control while I waited. Old man Hokage said you're gonna teach me about wind nature, right? For a brief moment, Kakashi seemed taken aback by the lack of outrage. He tucked his book away and regarded Naruto with new interest. Eventually, perhaps. First, I need to see exactly what you can do. He reached into his pouch and withdrew 2 small bells. Your task is simple. Try to take these bells from me before noon. As he explained the rules of the exercise, Naruto listened attentively while Kurama analyzed the situation. This is a standard Jonin test, the fox explained. Though usually given to genin teams, It's designed to assess not just skill but teamwork and strategy. But I'm alone, Naruto pointed out. Are you? Kurama's mental voice held a hint of amusement. I may be sealed inside you, kid, but we are still two minds working as one. A warm feeling spread to Naruto's chest. In all the years together, he never quite thought of it that way. That even in isolation, he was never truly alone anymore. Begin, Kakashi announced, and immediately disappeared in a blur of speed. Naruto expanded his sensory awareness, feeling for Kakashi's chakra signature. The Jonin had concealed himself well, but not perfectly. Not from the enhanced senses Naruto shared with Kurama. Northwest, in the trees, Kurama directed. But don't reveal your sensing ability immediately. Approach using academy-level techniques first. Nodding to himself, Naruto created 3 shadow clones, a technique he'd mastered years ago but had carefully avoided displaying at the academy. Find Kakashi-sensei, he ordered his duplicates, who scattered in different directions. As his clones searched the forest, Naruto deliberately made a show of looking confused, turning in circles as if unsure where to start. All the while, he was acutely aware of Kakashi watching him from the tree line, evaluating his approach. The assessment continued for 3 hours, with Naruto gradually revealing more of his abilities, but never all of them. He demonstrated his proficiency with shadow clones, his improving taijutsu, and basic wind manipulation. By the time the bells remained firmly attached to Kakashi's belt, but the Jonin had put away his book and was engaging with genuine effort. When noon arrived, Naruto collapsed on the grass, panting but grinning. I almost had you with that last wind shuriken combo. Almost isn't quite enough, Kakashi replied mildly, though there was a new respect in his visible eye. But not bad for an academy student. Not bad at all. Over the following weeks, Naruto's training intensified dramatically. 3 times a week, he met with Kakashi after academy classes for specialized instruction. The Jonin proved to be an infuriating but effective teacher, always pushing Naruto just beyond his comfort zone. Most importantly, the arrangement provided perfect cover for Naruto's accelerating growth. Any new techniques could now be attributed to Kakashi's tutelage rather than raising suspicions about Kurama's influence. Your chakra control is better than I expected, Kakashi remarked one day, watching Naruto perform a water-walking exercise while simultaneously maintaining 3 shadow clones. Most people with your chakra reserves struggle with precision. Naruto knew what Kakashi was really saying. Most Jinchuriki found fine control difficult due to their Bija's vast, chaotic energy. What Kakashi didn't know was that Kurama was actively helping Naruto regulate that flow, teaching him to separate their chakras when necessary. I practice a lot, Naruto said simply. Kakashi's eye narrowed slightly. You know, Naruto, if there's anything you want to talk about, anything unusual you've experienced with your chakra, you can tell me. It was the closest Kakashi had come to directly addressing the 9 tails. Naruto hesitated, sensing an opportunity. Careful, Kurama cautioned. But this could work in our favor. A partial confession to build trust. Actually, Naruto began, letting his concentration slip enough that his feet broke the water's surface, plunging him ankle-deep before he regained control. Sometimes I feel different chakra. Like it's not mine. Red and hot. Kakashi went very still. How long has this been happening? A couple years, I guess? Naruto shrugged, feigning casualness. At first, it only happened when I was really angry or scared. But lately, I can kind of sense it there all the time. He looked up at Kakashi earnestly. Is that normal for people like me? The carefully crafted question, acknowledging his Jinchuriki status without revealing the extent of his communication with Kurama, had the intended effect. Kakashi's posture relaxed slightly, relief evident in his manner. It's not uncommon, he confirmed. The seal is designed to allow some of the 9 tails chakra to mix with yours over time. It helps your body adapt. He studied Naruto carefully. Have you heard any voices or felt unusual urges when this happens? No voices, Naruto lied with practiced ease. Just feelings sometimes. Usually when I'm in danger, Kakashi nodded slowly. That's the fox's instincts resonating with yours. Self-preservation is common ground between you. He paused, seeming to choose his next words carefully. Naruto, it's important that you tell me or the Hokage if this ever changes. If you ever feel like you're losing control or hearing distinct thoughts that aren't your own, I will. Naruto promised solemnly, even as Kurama chuckled darkly in the back of his mind. Well played, Kit. Now he'll attribute any slips in your control to natural chakra bleed-through rather than deliberate communication. That night, as Naruto lay in bed, he reflected on how far he'd come in the 4 years since Kurama had first spoken to him. From a lonely, confused child to a shinobi in training with power and knowledge beyond his peers. And though he still faced prejudice from many villagers, he had also found genuine connections. With Irika, with the third, and perhaps now with Kakashi. You're thinking too loudly, Kurama grumbled, though without real irritation. Sorry, Naruto whispered aloud in the darkness of his apartment. Just thinking about the graduation exam next month. Do you think I'm ready? More than ready, Kurama assured him. The question is how much of your readiness you should display. It was their constant balancing act, revealing enough skill to advance but not so much as to raise alarm. But with Kakashi's mentorship providing cover, perhaps they could afford to show a little more of Naruto's true potential. Rest now, Kurama advised. Tomorrow we resume work on the Rasengan. You're close to mastering the second stage. As Naruto drifted towards sleep, he found himself wondering about the other Jinchuriki again, especially the boy in Suna that Kurama had mentioned. Was he lying awake too, communing with his Bijou? Or was he suffering alone, unaware that he could form a bond with the creature inside him? Someday, Naruto promised himself as consciousness faded, I'll find them all. And I'll show them they don't have to be alone either. And the final member of Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto's head snapped up at Irika's announcement. He'd been so lost in conversation with Kurama that he'd nearly missed his own team assignment. So I'm with Sasuke and Sakura, he thought, glancing at his new teammates. The stoic Uchiha sat with his customary frown, while the pink-haired Kunoichi alternated between staring adoringly at Sasuke and shooting apologetic looks at her former best friend, Ino. The top Kunoichi, the last Uchiha, and you, the village's Jinchuriki, Kurama observed. They're constructing a high-potential team, or putting all their problem children in one basket, Naruto thought wryly. The month since graduation had been eventful. Naruto had passed the academy exam with ease, creating perfect clones, a technique that had once been his greatest weakness before Kurama's tutelage. His performance had placed him third in the class overall, behind Sasuke and Shikamaru. There had been one unexpected complication, the incident with Mizuki. The assistant instructor had approached Naruto after graduation, trying to manipulate him into stealing the scroll of sealing with false promises of additional tests and advanced techniques. It's a trap, Kurama had warned immediately. His chakra reeks of deception. Rather than falling for it, Naruto had reported the conversation to Irika, who had in turn alerted the Hokage. Mizuki had been apprehended, revealing a plot to deliver the scroll to Orochimaru, a notorious missing nin and former leaf shinobi. The incident had earned Naruto unexpected praise from the village leadership and cemented Irika's faith in him. The Chunin had been so proud that he treated Naruto to 3 consecutive nights of ramen at Ichiraku's. Now, as the newly formed Genin teams awaited their Jonin instructors, Naruto contemplated the road ahead. He already knew Kakashi would be Team 7's leader. The Jonin had mentioned as much during their final training session the previous week. He said he's never passed a Genin team before. Naruto had told Kurama afterward. That most fail his test. You have the advantage of knowing what to expect, Kurama had pointed out. The bell test again, most likely. Sure enough, when Kakashi finally arrived, 3 hours late, as usual, he led them to the familiar training ground 7 and produced the same pair of bells Naruto had failed to capture months earlier. You have until sunset to take these bells from me, he explained lazily. Whoever doesn't get a bell goes back to the academy. While Sakura gasped in dismay and even Sasuke looked taken aback, Naruto simply folded his arms, a small smile playing at his lips. But there are only 2 bells, Sakura protested. Very observant. Kakashi smiled. Begin. As his teammates started into the surrounding forest to hide, Naruto remained standing in the clearing, meeting Kakashi's curious gaze. Aren't you going to hide like the others? The Jonin asked. Nope, Naruto replied. Because I figured out the real test. Kakashi's visible eyebrow rose. Oh, it's about teamwork, Naruto stated confidently. The bells are just a distraction, to make us compete against each other. But that's not how real shinobi operate, is it? For a moment, Kakashi said nothing. Then, interesting theory. What makes you so sure? Because you told me yourself. Those who abandon their mission are trash. But those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. At those words, Kakashi's own creed, shared during one of their training sessions, something shifted in the Jonin's demeanor. He closed his book and tucked it away. You've grown, Naruto, he acknowledged quietly. Now the question is, can you convince your teammates of this insight? Go, Kurama urged. Find the Uchiha first. The girl will follow his lead. It took some doing, and more than a few bruised egos. But by sunset, Team 7 stood victorious, the bells in Sasuke and Sakura's possession, while Naruto deliberately went without. I'm ready to go back to the academy if it means my teammates succeed, he declared, crossing his arms with exaggerated determination that masked his certainty of the outcome. Kakashi loomed over them, his expression severe. You all pass. The shock on his teammates' faces was almost comical. As Kakashi explained the true purpose of the test, Naruto caught Sasuke studying him with narrowed eyes, clearly reassessing the once bottom-ranking student who had not only matched him in recent months but had now seen through their Jonin sensei's deception. As they left the training ground, Sakura fell into step beside Naruto. How did you know? She asked quietly. About the teamwork thing? Naruto shrugged. Kakashi-sensei's been training me a bit already. I guess I picked up on his priorities. He has. Sakura looked surprised. Why would he train you before we were even assigned to him? Careful, Kurama warned. The girl is academically intelligent. She'll piece things together if given too many clues. Special circumstances, Naruto replied vaguely. Ask him yourself if you're curious. Ahead of them, Sasuke walked alone, hands in his pockets. But Naruto noticed the slight tilt of his head. The Uchiha was listening to every word. The following weeks established the rhythm of Team 7's genin life. Daily D-rank missions, glorified chores, really, interspersed with training sessions under Kakashi's guidance. The Jonin focused on building their fundamentals and teamwork, though Naruto noticed he gave Sasuke particular attention in ninjutsu instruction. He's preparing the Uchiha for when his Sharingan awakens, Kurama explained when Naruto mentioned this observation. A logical investment, if an irritating one. You really do hate the Sharingan, don't you? Naruto thought as he painted yet another fence. Their third D-rank mission of the week. With good reason, Kurama growled. Though I will acknowledge that not every Uchiha has used it for evil. Your mother's friend, Mikoto Uchiha, was one of the few I respected. Mikoto? Wait, that was Sasuke's mom. Naruto nearly dropped his paintbrush. My mom was friends with Sasuke's mom? Yes, Kurama confirmed. They were close, despite my presence in Kushina. Mikoto was one of the few who saw your mother as a person first, Jinchuriki second. This revelation stunned Naruto. He glanced at Sasuke, working silently several yards away. They had a connection he'd never known about. Their mothers had been friends. In another world, perhaps they might have grown up together, more like brothers than rivals. Naruto! Focus on your section, Sakura called, noticing his distraction. Sorry, Sakura-chan, he replied automatically, returning to his painting. That evening, during their usual mental conversation, Naruto approached a subject he'd been considering for some time. I think I should tell them about you, he said, standing before Kurama's cage in his mindscape. Kakashi-sensei and my teammates. Not everything, but something. Kurama's massive eyes narrowed. Why now? We're a team, Naruto explained. We're going to be in dangerous situations together. What if I need to use your chakra openly? What if I slip up? Wouldn't it be better if they heard it from me first, instead of finding out during a crisis? The fox considered this argument, his tail swishing thoughtfully behind him. There is merit in your reasoning, he acknowledged finally. But full disclosure would be unwise. Hatake might accept a certain level of communication between us. But if he knew the extent of our partnership, how long it's been ongoing, how much I've taught you, he would report to the Hokage immediately. The seal would be examined, perhaps even modified to restrict our bond. Naruto shuddered at the thought. After 5 years of constant companionship, the idea of losing his connection to Kurama was unthinkable. So what do we tell them? A version of the truth, Kurama decided. That recently, perhaps since graduation, you've become aware of my consciousness. That while initially adversarial, we've reached a tentative understanding based on mutual survival. Nothing about our years of training or the full scope of our communication. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Naruto nodded his agreement. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Their first C-rank mission, escorting a bridge builder named Tazuna to the Land of Waves, rapidly escalated to A rank when they were attacked by missing Nin hired by the business magnate Gato. After defeating the Demon Brothers, Kakashi had given the team the option to continue or turn back. We should press on, Naruto argued, sensing a chance to both prove himself and potentially begin revealing his partnership with Kurama. We can handle this. To his surprise, both Sasuke and Sakura agreed, though for different reasons. Sasuke seeking challenge, Sakura unwilling to disappoint Sasuke. They had no way of knowing the true danger that awaited them. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, and his apprentice Haku. The first battle with Zabuza pushed Team 7 to their limits. When Kakashi was captured in the water prison technique, it fell to the genin to free him. Through a combination of Naruto's shadow clones, Sasuke's fire techniques, and well-coordinated strategy, they managed to break Zabuza's hold on their sensei, allowing Kakashi to turn the tide. But Zabuza had escaped, saved by a hunter Nin who Kakashi later realized was actually an accomplice. As they recovered at Tazuna's house, preparing for the inevitable second confrontation, Kakashi focused on teaching them tree walking, a skill Naruto had mastered years ago, but pretended to struggle with initially before achieving rapid improvement. The night before they expected Zabuza to return, Naruto sought out Kakashi while Sasuke and Sakura slept. "Sensei, there's something I need to tell you," he began, settling beside Kakashi on the porch of Tazuna's house. The Jonin glanced up from his ever-present orange book. "What is it, Naruto?" Naruto took a deep breath. "It's about the Nine Tails." Kakashi's attention sharpened instantly. He closed his book, giving Naruto his full focus. "I've been sensing it more lately. Not just its chakra, but thoughts, feelings." Naruto stared at his hands. "At first I was scared. But then I realized, it's been trying to communicate with me." "Communicate?" Kakashi repeated carefully. "In what way?" "Just impressions mostly." Naruto lied, downplaying the extent of their bond. "Like during the fight with Zabuza. I could feel it wanting to help, to lend me its strength. I think it doesn't want me to die, because that would mean its death too." Well crafted, Kurama approved. "The self-preservation angle is believable even to those who see me as nothing but a mindless beast." Kakashi was silent for a long moment. "How long has this been happening? Since graduation, maybe?" "It got stronger after I started doing real missions with you guys." Another carefully calculated lie, suggesting the connection had strengthened with increased danger rather than revealed their years-long partnership. "I see." Kakashi's voice betrayed nothing of his thoughts. "And how do you feel about this communication?" Naruto considered his answer, knowing it would be reported back to the Hokage. "Confused, I guess, but not scared anymore." He looked up at Kakashi earnestly. "Irika-sensei once told me that what makes a shinobi strong isn't just jutsu or chakra, but finding strength and protecting what's precious to them. Maybe the Nine Tails doesn't have precious people, but it has me, and if working together keeps us both alive, isn't that worth trying?" He could almost see Kakashi processing this perspective, so different from the fear and suspicion that typically surrounded Jinchuriki-Biju relationships. "Naruto, the Nine Tails attacked our village," Kakashi reminded him gently. "Many people died, including your parents." "I know," Naruto acknowledged. "But Old Man Third told me once that hatred only creates more hatred. If I hate the fox for what happened, how does that make me any different from the villagers who hate me for what I contain?" Using the old monkey's own philosophy against him, Kurama noted with grim amusement. "Clever Kit," Kakashi sighed, running a hand through his silver hair. "I can't tell you you're wrong, but I urge caution. The Nine Tails is ancient and cunning. Don't mistake pragmatic cooperation for genuine alliance. I understand. Naruto nodded seriously. I just thought you should know. In case something happens tomorrow, thank you for telling me. Kakashi said, his visible eye crinkling in a small smile. Get some rest now. Tomorrow will test all of us. As predicted, the battle on the bridge proved to be their most challenging yet. Zabuza and Haku attacked while Naruto was away from the main group, having overslept after exhausting himself with training the previous night. By the time he arrived, Sasuke was trapped within Haku's crystallized mirrors, nearly dead from multiple Saban wounds. Kakashi was engaged with Zabuza in a deadly dance of sword and jutsu, while Sakura stood guard over Tazuna, kunai trembling in her grip. Seeing Sasuke fallen, something snapped inside Naruto. Red chakra began to leak from his body, forming a visible shroud around him. Now Kurama growled. Show them a fraction of our power, but maintain control. Righteous anger, not blind rage. With a roar that was part human, part beast, Naruto charged into Haku's mirror prison. Unlike the uncontrolled Bija transformations of legend, however, this release was calculated. The chakra cloak surrounded Naruto but didn't consume his consciousness. His eyes shifted to slitted crimson, his whisker marks darkened, but his mind remained clear. Naruto. Sasuke gasped, barely conscious. It's still me. Naruto assured him, his voice deeper but recognizable. I've got this. What followed was a display of power that shocked everyone present. Naruto moved with incredible speed, shattering ice mirrors that had previously been impervious to Sasuke's strongest fire techniques. When Haku attempted to use Sasuke as a hostage, Naruto countered with chakra-enhanced reflexes, saving his teammate while landing a devastating blow that cracked Haku's mask. The revelation of Haku's true face, the kind stranger Naruto had met in the forest days earlier, temporarily broke the battle's momentum. Their conversation about precious people and true strength resonated deeply with Naruto, even as Haku ultimately chose death by sacrificing himself to save Zabuza from Kakashi's lightning blade. In the aftermath, as Naruto's red chakra cloak receded, he found himself the center of wary attention. Sakura stared at him with undisguised fear, while Sasuke, despite his injuries, studied him with intense curiosity. Kakashi simply looked resigned, as if a long-anticipated shoe had finally dropped. We'll talk later, Bijonin said quietly as they regrouped. The final confrontation with Gato and his mercenaries ended the mission on a bittersweet note. Zabuza's redemptive last stand, cutting down the corrupt businessman before succumbing to his own wounds, left a profound impression on Team 7, particularly Naruto. That night, as they prepared to return to Konoha the following day, Kakashi gathered his team in Tazuna's home for the promised conversation. I believe Naruto has something he wants to share with you both, he began, gesturing to the blonde genin. Taking a deep breath, Naruto explained about the Nine Tails, the edited version he and Kurama had crafted, maintaining the illusion that their communication was recent and limited. He described how he had called upon its power consciously during the bridge battle, channeling it without losing himself to rage. Sakura's reaction was predictably fearful at first, but tempered with the compassion that formed the core of her character. So that's why the villagers always looked at you that way. She realized aloud, pieces of a long-standing puzzle finally clicking into place. Sasuke's response was more complex. Can you control it? He asked, his first words since Naruto had finished his explanation. Mostly, Naruto answered carefully. It gets harder the more power I use, but we've reached an understanding. We? Sasuke caught the pronoun immediately. Careful, Kurama warned. But Naruto had already committed to this path of partial honesty. Yeah, he confirmed. The Nine Tails isn't just mindless chakra. It's conscious, intelligent. And while it's not exactly friendly, it doesn't want to die, which means keeping me alive. Sasuke processed this, his expression unreadable. Then, incredibly, he smirked. Useful, that single word, acknowledging the tactical advantage rather than focusing on the feared monster, cut through the tension. Sakura, taking her cue from both teammates' calm, visibly relaxed. Is that why you improved so much at the academy? She asked. Were you using its chakra then too? No, Naruto replied truthfully. That was just hard work and better training methods. A partial truth. He hadn't used Kurama's chakra, but he had benefited immensely from the fox's guidance. As the conversation continued, evolving into a broader discussion of what this meant for their team dynamics, Naruto felt a strange sense of relief. The secret was still mostly intact. They knew nothing of the true depth of his bond with Kurama, but a crucial first step had been taken. His teammates now saw him as Naruto who contained the Nine Tails, rather than the Nine Tails itself. The great Naruto bridge stretched behind them, a monument to hope and perseverance that would connect the land of waves to the mainland for generations. As Team 7 made their way back to Konoha, a subtle shift in their dynamic was evident. Sakura walked closer to Naruto than before, occasionally asking hesitant questions about his tenant. Sasuke, too, kept Naruto in his peripheral vision, his curiosity obvious despite his attempts to appear indifferent. "They're recalibrating," Kurama observed. The girl with less fear than expected, the Uchiha with more interest. Both concerning in different ways. Why concerning? Naruto wondered, smiling as Sakura tentatively asked if he had heightened senses because of the fox. The girl's acceptance means she'll be watching more closely. The Uchiha's interest suggests he sees your power as something to be studied, perhaps coveted. Remember my history with his clan. Yeah, I can hear and smell way better than most people, Naruto was explaining to Sakura. It's actually kind of annoying sometimes in the village. Too many strong scents. Kakashi, walking ahead of them, kept glancing back, his visible eye observing their interactions with calculated casualness. The Jonin had reported Naruto's recent communication with the Nine Tails to the Hokage via Messenger Hawk the previous night. Now, they all waited to see what the fallout would be upon their return. When they finally reached Konoha and reported to the Hokage's office, Naruto was prepared for suspicion, perhaps even fear. What he wasn't prepared for was the third's gentle smile. "I've been expecting this day for some time," the old man said after dismissing the rest of Team 7, leaving Naruto alone with him and Kakashi. "Though perhaps not quite so soon." "You have?" Naruto blinked in surprise. The Hokage puffed on his pipe. "Your mother, Kushina, also developed a relationship with the Nine Tails, though much later in life than you. She told me once that no Uzumaki could truly contain such an entity without eventually coming to terms with it." Naruto's jaw dropped. This was not the reaction he'd anticipated. "The old monkey continues to surprise," Kurama muttered, his tone unreadable. "So, you're not worried?" Naruto asked cautiously. "I didn't say that," the third corrected. "But I've watched you grow, Naruto. Your heart remains true despite the burden you carry. If any Jinchuriki could form a positive bond with a Bijou, it would be you." He set down his pipe, expression growing more serious. "That said, we must take precautions. I'd like Jiraiya to examine your seal when he returns to the village." "Jiraiya?" Naruto repeated the unfamiliar name. "One of the legendary Sannin," Kakashi explained. "And your father's teacher." This was news to Naruto, though Kurama had mentioned the Sannin in passing during his lessons on Konoha's history. The fox had described Jiraiya as a perverted sage with unexpected depths. Not exactly a ringing endorsement, but from Kurama, it was practically high praise. "When will he be here?" Naruto asked. "Within the month, if my messages reach him in time," the third replied. "In the meantime, continue your training with Kakashi, but exercise caution with the Nine Tails chakra. Used recklessly, it could damage your chakra network." Another half-truth, Kurama noted. "The real danger is to the seal itself if we push too much power through it too quickly. But I've been teaching you moderation for years precisely to avoid that outcome." After a few more minutes of discussion and a warning to keep the extent of his communication with the Nine Tails between them for now, Naruto was dismissed. As he walked home through the evening streets of Konoha, he mulled over this unexpected turn of events. "Mom communicated with you too?" he asked Kurama silently. Eventually, the fox confirmed, though our relationship was contentious at best. "She viewed me purely as a dangerous weapon to be controlled. Unlike you, she never asked for my name." The weeks that followed were filled with increasingly difficult missions and training. Team 7's success in Wave had earned them a reputation, and Kakashi pushed them harder, focusing especially on teamwork exercises that incorporated Naruto's unique abilities. "The key is integration, not segregation." the Jonin explained one afternoon, after they'd successfully completed a capture the flag exercise against one of his shadow clones. Naruto's enhanced abilities should complement your own, not replace them. Sasuke nodded thoughtfully, while Sakura took notes in a small journal she'd begun carrying specifically for team training insights. What Kakashi didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Naruto continued his private training with Kurama late into each night. They had progressed to the final stage of the Rasengan, with Naruto now able to form the swirling sphere of chakra one-handed, just as his father had. They also worked on finer control of Kurama's chakra, allowing Naruto to draw on specific aspects, enhanced senses, accelerated healing, or reinforced physical strength, without manifesting the full, visible cloak that would draw attention. Why are you working so hard on this stuff anyway? Kiba Inuzuka asked one day when he stumbled across Naruto training alone in the forest. The academy's over, you know. You passed, because there's always someone stronger. Naruto replied simply, thinking of Zabuza and Haku, and of the masked man Kurama had described, the one who had forced him to attack Konoha years ago. Kiba shrugged. Well, don't wear yourself out. I heard the Chunin exams are coming up, and rumor has it our teams might get nominated. The Chunin exams, Kurama mused after Kiba left. An opportunity, and a risk. How so? Naruto asked, continuing his exercise of slicing a waterfall with wind-natured chakra. Opportunity to test your growth against peers without raising undue suspicion. Success could be attributed to the heat of competition. Risk because you'll be under greater scrutiny, and some of the foreign participants may have special abilities that could detect our bond. Like what? The Hyuga can see chakra networks. Certain sensory types might detect the unique flow between us. And if Suna participates, the One-Tails Jinchuriki might be there. Naruto realized with a jolt of excitement. The kid you told me about, Gaara, Kurama supplied the name. Though our last intelligence suggests he's not a kid you want to meet unprepared. Shikaku has always been the most unstable of my siblings, and from what I've gleaned when you've passed near Shinobi discussing foreign affairs, his influence over his host is problematic. Sure enough, a week later, Kakashi informed Team 7 that he had nominated them for the upcoming Chunin exams. As expected, teams led by Asuma Sarutobi and Kurenai Yuhi, containing their academy classmates, had also been nominated. Don't take this lightly, Kakashi warned them. Genin have died during these exams. If you choose to participate, you'll be facing opponents from every allied nation, many with years more experience than you. We can handle it, Sasuke stated with his usual confidence. Absolutely, Sakura agreed, though a flicker of doubt crossed her face. Naruto simply nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. The exams would bring foreign shinobi to Konoha, including, potentially, other Jinchuriki. It might be his first chance to meet someone else who carried a burden similar to his own. The day before the exams were scheduled to begin, Naruto encountered something unexpected on his way home from training. 3 Sand Shinobi confronting Konohamaru, the third Hokage's grandson who had appointed himself Naruto's unofficial apprentice. 1. A black-clad puppet master with face paint had lifted the boy by his scarf, clearly threatening him. Hey! Naruto called out, approaching rapidly. Put him down! The sand ninja turned, revealing the hourglass symbol on his Hittite. Beside him stood a blonde kunoichi with a giant fan strapped to her back. But it was the third member of their group who caught Naruto's attention, or rather, whose chakra did. Shikaku, Kurama growled inside him, a mixture of recognition and wariness coloring his mental voice. A red-haired boy about Naruto's age stood slightly apart from his teammates, arms crossed over his chest. A massive gourd was strapped to his back, and a kanji for love was tattooed above his left eye. Dark rings surrounded his pale green eyes, giving him a haunted, sleepless appearance. But what truly caught Naruto's attention was the chaotic, malevolent chakra swirling within him, oppressive enough that even without Kurama's senses, Naruto would have felt it. That's him? Naruto thought, momentarily distracted from Konohamaru's plight. The One-Tails Jinchuriki? Yes, Kurama confirmed. Approach with extreme caution, Kit. Something is very wrong with that seal. As if sensing their scrutiny, the red-haired boy's eyes locked onto Naruto. For a moment neither moved, each taking the measure of the other. Kankuro. The Suna Jinchuriki spoke, his voice soft yet carrying an unmistakable threat. Put the child down. You're embarrassing our village. The black-clad ninja, Kankuro, immediately released Konohamaru, who scampered behind Naruto. Sorry, Gaara. Kankuro muttered, a flash of genuine fear crossing his features. His own teammate is terrified of him, Naruto realized. Gaara took a step forward, his focus entirely on Naruto now. What is your name? Naruto Uzumaki. He replied, standing his ground despite the oppressive aura emanating from the other boy. A faint smile, more disturbing than reassuring, curved Gaara's lips. I look forward to killing you, Naruto Uzumaki. Mother is interested in your blood. Mother? Kurama's mental tone sharpened with concern. He refers to Shikako as mother? This is worse than I feared. His seal must be critically compromised. Before Naruto could respond, sand began to swirl around Gaara's feet. The female sand ninja stepped forward, placing a cautious hand on his shoulder. Gaara, remember our mission, she said carefully, as one might address a wild animal. The exams start tomorrow. After a tense moment, Gaara nodded. Tomorrow then, he said to Naruto, before the sand enveloped all three Suna shinobi, whisking them away. Konohamaru tugged at Naruto's jacket. Boss, who was that? His eyes were super creepy. Someone like me. Naruto answered quietly. But not as lucky. That night, Naruto sat cross-legged in his mindscape, discussing the encounter with Kurama. The massive fox paced within his cage, 9 tails swishing agitatedly. This confirms what I've suspected from the fragments of information we've gathered, he rumbled. Gaara's seal is fundamentally flawed. It allows Shikako far too much influence over his mind, especially during sleep, which explains the insomnia markers around his eyes. He called Shikako mother. Naruto recalled with a shiver. That's not normal, right? No. It suggests Shikako has been feeding him delusions since infancy, possibly through dreams when Gaara does manage brief periods of sleep. This makes him extraordinarily dangerous, Kit. Unlike our partnership, where you remain in control, their relationship appears to be one of progressive possession. Naruto frowned, troubled by the implications. Could I help him? If I told him about us, about how it could be different. Not yet, Kurama interrupted firmly. In his current state, he would view any approach as a threat or a trick. Shikako always was paranoid, even before centuries of forced confinement exacerbated that tendency. But we can't just do nothing. He's suffering, and he's hurting others because of it. Kurama's massive eyes studied Naruto thoughtfully. Your compassion is admirable, if occasionally impractical. Very well, observe him during the exams. If an opportunity presents itself where he might be receptive, we can consider a careful approach. But promise me you won't seek him out alone. Together, we could likely overpower Shikako, but the collateral damage would be extensive. Naruto nodded reluctantly. He didn't like the idea of leaving another Jinchuriki to suffer, but he understood the need for caution. Gaara clearly wasn't in a state to be reasoned with yet. The next morning, Team 7 gathered outside the examination building, each processing their nerves differently. Sakura reviewed scrolls of information on potential foreign competitors. Sasuke stood with forced casualness, though the tension in his shoulders betrayed his readiness. Naruto, meanwhile, scanned the crowds of genin, noting with interest the diverse Hittite representing all the major villages and several minor ones. Remember, Kakashi said, appearing suddenly beside them in his typical fashion. The strength of Konoha lies in teamwork. Many foreign shinobi consider this a weakness, but properly applied, it's our greatest advantage. We know, Sensei, Sakura assured him. We won't let you down. As they entered the building and navigated through the preliminary genjutsu test on the second floor, Naruto remained alert for other potential Jinchuriki. Kurama had taught him to recognize the unique chakra signature that all Bijus shared, despite their individual differences. So far, Gaara was the only one he detected. The 5 tails and 3 tails currently have no Jinchuriki, Kurama reminded him. The 2 tails and 8 tails hosts would be from Kumogakure, but relations between Kumo and Konoha remained strained. They likely wouldn't risk sending their bijou containers so soon after the Hyuga incident. It was another reminder of how valuable Kurama's ancient perspective could be. The fox had witnessed decades of shifting political alliances and conflicts from within his various hosts, accumulating knowledge that no human shinobi could match. The first exam, a written test proctored by the intimidating Ibiki Marino, proved to be an exercise in information gathering rather than academic knowledge. Naruto, who once would have panicked at such a challenge, calmly identified the planted chunin among the candidates and used subtle techniques to glimpse their answers. Kurama's enhanced senses allowed him to hear the scratch of pencils more distinctly, and years of practice had refined his observational skills. When Ibiki revealed the true purpose of the test, the willingness to risk everything on the 10th question, Naruto felt a surge of pride in his teammates. Neither Sasuke nor Sakura had wavered, trusting in each other and in him. The first hurdle cleared, Kurama noted as they followed Anko Mitarashi, the second proctor, toward the forest of death. But the real challenges begin now. The forest will provide cover for confrontations that wouldn't be permitted in the controlled environment of the written exam. Naruto nodded imperceptibly. The forest of death portion of the exam would last 5 days, with teams hunting each other for scrolls needed to advance to the next round. It was the perfect opportunity for foreign shinobi to eliminate promising Konoha genin without obvious diplomatic repercussions. As Team 7 collected their Heaven Scroll and took position at their assigned gate, Naruto briefed his teammates on his enhanced threat detection. "I can sense chakra signatures about half a kilometer out," he explained, carefully attributing this ability to the Ninetales without specifying that Kurama was actively assisting him. "If we're approached, I'll know it before they reach us." Sasuke nodded approvingly. "Good. We'll move fast, locate a team with an Earth Scroll, ambush them, and head straight for the tower. No unnecessary engagements. And if we encounter those sand ninja?" Sakura asked, voicing what they were all thinking. "We avoid them at all costs," Naruto said firmly. "Especially the redhead Gaara. He's like me, but different. Not stable." Understanding dawned in his teammates' eyes. Another Jinchuriki, but one without Naruto's control. When the gates opened, Team 7 surged forward into the dense forest, unaware that their carefully laid plans would soon be shattered by an encounter with a predator far more dangerous than any genin. A snake in human form who had set his sights on the last Uchiha. 6 hours into the forest of death, Naruto held up a hand, signaling his teammates to halt. They had been moving efficiently through the canopy, avoiding the more dangerous areas Anko had warned about while maintaining a search pattern for potential scroll targets. "What is it?" Sasuke asked, dropping silently beside him on a massive branch. "2 teams ahead," Naruto murmured, eyes half closed as he focused on the chakra signatures Kurama was helping him track. "One from rain, one from grass. They're fighting, I think." Sakura landed on his other side, her movements nearly soundless after months of Kakashi's stealth drills. "Can you tell which scroll they have?" "No, but..." Naruto's eyes suddenly widened. "Something's wrong. The grass team's chakra. One of them feels wrong." Suppressed, Kurama growled. "Powerful chakra being deliberately contained. No genin possesses reserves that large. We should investigate from a distance," Sasuke decided. "If it's just genin hiding their abilities, they might be easy targets. If it's something else, we retreat and report." Sakura finished, completing their standard protocol for unexpected threats. Moving with greater caution now, Team 7 approached the clearing where the confrontation was occurring. The scene that greeted them froze the blood in Naruto's veins. 3 rain genin lay on the forest floor, their bodies unnaturally twisted, expressions of terror frozen on their lifeless faces. Standing over them was a single grass ninja, a woman with long dark hair whose face seemed to ripple subtly, like a reflection in disturbed water. "Genjutsu," Kurama identified immediately. "A disguise. And that chakra." The fox's mental voice held a note Naruto had never heard before, something approaching genuine alarm. "What is it?" Naruto pressed, sensing Kurama's unusual reaction. "I know this chakra signature. It's been decades, but some things you don't forget." Orochimaru. The name sent a chill through Naruto. Even he knew of the snake Sannin, the brilliant shinobi who had turned traitor. conducting forbidden experiments so horrific that he'd been driven from the village years before Naruto's birth. "We need to leave," Naruto whispered urgently to his teammates. "Now, that's not a genin down there. It's..." Before he could finish, the grass ninja's head snapped up, serpentine eyes locking directly onto their position in the trees. My. A sibilant voice called out, nothing like the female appearance would suggest. "Such cautious little mice. But I can smell your fear, especially yours, Sasuke-kun." With inhuman speed, the figure leapt toward their branch. Sasuke reacted first, hurling a barrage of kunai that should have pinned any normal opponent. Instead, the grass ninja's body contorted impossibly, weaving between the projectiles as if made of rubber. "Run!" Naruto shouted, creating a dozen shadow clones that threw themselves at the attacker, buying precious seconds for retreat. Team 7 scattered in different directions, a tactic they practiced for situations where confrontation was suicidal. The plan was to regroup at a predetermined location after breaking pursuit. But their opponent was no ordinary hunter. Naruto had barely covered 50 meters when he sensed massive chakra signatures converging on Sasuke's position. Changing direction immediately, he pushed chakra into his legs, moving faster than he'd ever dared in front of his teammates. "Be ready," Kurama warned. "If this is truly Orochimaru, we may need to use more of my chakra than we've revealed before. I thought we were trying to keep that secret. Some secrets aren't worth dying for, Kit. Orochimaru is beyond any genin, beyond most jonin. Even with my power, victory is unlikely. But survival might be possible." When Naruto arrived at a small clearing, he found Sasuke and Sakura backed against a massive tree trunk, facing the grass ninja who now stood calmly before them, a disturbing smile stretching their features. "Ah, the gang's all here," the disguised shinobi observed with evident amusement. "I was beginning to think you'd abandoned your precious teammate, Naruto-kun. What do you want?" Naruto demanded, landing beside Sasuke, whose Sharingan had activated, Tomo spinning rapidly as he analyzed their opponent. "Want?" "Many things." The figure reached up and grabbed their own face, pulling the skin away to reveal a pale visage beneath, bone-white skin, yellow serpentine eyes, and a smile that promised pain. "But for now, I'm simply curious about Konoha's promising new generation. Especially you, Sasuke-kun, Orochimaru," Sakura whispered in horror, recognizing the infamous missing nin from her studies. "The young kunoichi knows her history." "Good." Orochimaru's attention shifted back to Sasuke. "I wonder, how strong is the last Uchiha? Strong enough to avenge his clan? To kill Itachi?" Sasuke stiffened at the mention of his brother, hatred flashing across his features. "Don't listen to him, Sasuke," Naruto warned, sensing the manipulation. "Oh, but he should," Orochimaru countered. "I could give him what he desires most, power beyond his imagination. Power to destroy the man who took everything from him." His long tongue slithered out, licking his lips. But first the test. The killing intent that washed over them then was unlike anything Naruto had ever experienced, far worse than Zabuza's. It was primal, overwhelming, crushing them with visions of their own gruesome deaths. Sakura collapsed to her knees, trembling uncontrollably. Sasuke remained standing but frozen, eyes wide with terror. Only Naruto, fortified by Kurama's ancient presence, maintained enough composure to move. "Now, Kit!" Kurama roared within him. "Take from me." Red chakra exploded from Naruto's body, forming the now familiar cloak that had manifested during the wave mission. But this time, he pulled deeper, allowing a single tail of chakra to form behind him. The oppressive killing intent wavered against the tide of Kurama's power. Orochimaru's eyes widened slightly, the first genuine surprise he'd shown. "The Jinchuriki reveals himself," the Sannin observed with clinical interest. "How fascinating. Has Konoha finally embraced its human weapon? I'm no one's weapon," Naruto growled, his voice deepened by Kurama's influence. Dropping to all fours, he launched himself at Orochimaru with blistering speed. What followed was less a battle than a deadly game of cat and mouse, with Naruto, for all his enhanced power, decisively cast as the mouse. Orochimaru avoided or deflected his attacks with contemptuous ease, studying him with the detached interest of a scientist observing a specimen. Crude, the Sandine commented after backhanding Naruto through a tree trunk. Raw power without finesse. You tap the Kyuubi's chakra but don't truly harness it. He's toying with you, Kurama growled. We need more power, or an escape route. Naruto climbed from the splintered remains of the tree, blood trickling from his mouth but healing rapidly. His mind raced for a solution. Direct confrontation wasn't working, but he couldn't leave his teammates. Across the clearing, Sasuke had finally broken free of his paralysis. His hands flashed through seals, culminating in a massive fireball jutsu that roared toward Orochimaru's back. The Sandine didn't even turn, simply sidestepping at the last possible moment. Better, Sasuke-kun, he praised. But still disappointing. I expected more from Itachi's little brother. The taunt achieved its purpose. With a cry of rage, Sasuke charged forward, Sharingan blazing. For a brief moment, his increased speed and the unpredictability of his Sharingan-guided taijutsu seemed to press Orochimaru back. It's a setup, Kurama warned. He's drawing the Uchiha in. Sure enough, once Sasuke fully committed to his assault, Orochimaru countered with devastating precision, slamming a palm strike into his chest that sent him crashing beside Sakura, who had finally regained her feet. Mediocre. Orochimaru sighed. Perhaps I was mistaken about your potential. Sasuke! Sakura cried, helping him up. Naruto used a momentary distraction to create 30 shadow clones, each cloaked in red chakra. They surrounded Orochimaru in a ring of crimson energy. Get Sasuke out of here! Naruto shouted to Sakura as his clones charged inward simultaneously. For a moment, it appeared the clone assault might succeed in at least occupying Orochimaru. The Sannin was forced to engage multiple opponents, destroying clones with precise strikes. But just as Sakura began helping Sasuke retreat, Orochimaru's neck elongated impossibly, stretching past the remaining clones toward the fleeing Uchiha. You're not going anywhere. The snake ninja hissed, fangs extending from his mouth. He's going to mark him. Kurama realized with alarm. Stop him, Kit! If he plants his cursed seal on the Uchiha. Naruto didn't wait for the explanation. Drawing deeper on Kurama's chakra than ever before, he formed a second tail and intercepted Orochimaru's extended neck, grabbing it with chakra-enhanced hands. The Sannin's eyes widened in genuine shock as Naruto heaved, using the neck like a rope to swing the entire body into a massive tree trunk. The impact was thunderous, shaking the forest floor. Go! Naruto roared to his teammates, his features now more feral, elongated canines visible as he snarled. But Sasuke hesitated, Sharingan eyes fixed on Naruto's transformed state. We're not leaving you, he stated firmly. How touching! Orochimaru's voice came from behind them, the body Naruto had slammed dissolving into mud. Such loyalty deserves a reward. Before any of them could react, Orochimaru's hands formed a complex seal. 5 elements seal! His palms slammed into Naruto's stomach, directly over the seal containing Kurama. Agonizing pain ripped through Naruto's body as the new seal disrupted the flow of the fox's chakra. The red cloak vanished instantly, and Naruto collapsed, suddenly unable to feel Kurama's presence. Kurama! He called mentally, but for the first time in 5 years, there was no answer, only a distant, muffled sensation, as if the fox were trapped behind a thick wall. Interesting. Orochimaru mused, watching Naruto writhe on the ground. You call the beast by name? What an unusual Jinchuriki you are, Naruto-kun. Through blurred vision, Naruto saw Sasuke charge Orochimaru again, fury evident in every line of his body. Despite his pain, Naruto recognized that Sasuke wasn't fighting just to survive now. He was fighting to protect his teammates. Something had changed in the last Uchiha. He was no longer freezing in terror or fighting for himself alone. Sakura, too, had overcome her fear. She launched a barrage of kunai with explosive tags, coordinating perfectly with Sasuke's fire jutsu to create a rolling inferno that even Orochimaru was forced to avoid rather than counter directly. They're amazing, Naruto thought through his haze of pain, struggling to stand. Without Kurama's healing, his body felt leaden, unresponsive. Orochimaru emerged from the flames unscathed but visibly annoyed. Enough games, he declared. I've seen what I came to see. Again, his neck extended with horrifying speed, this time successfully reaching Sasuke before either teammate could intervene. His fangs sank into the Uchiha's neck, drawing a scream of agony from the usually stoic boy. "Consider it a parting gift, Sasuke-kun," Orochimaru said as he withdrew, a strange mark appearing where he had bitten. "A taste of the power that could be yours. Seek me out when you realize Konoha can never give you what you truly desire." As Sasuke collapsed, clutching his neck in agony, Orochimaru turned back to Naruto, who had finally managed to rise to his knees. "As for you, Lil Jinchuriki, we'll meet again. Anyone who can form a partnership with the Nine-Tails bears watching." His tongue slithered out in a grotesque smile. "I've merely temporarily disrupted your connection. Consider how helpless you are without it, and whether Konoha truly appreciates the weapon you've forged." With those parting words, Orochimaru melted into the tree trunk, his laughter echoing through the forest long after his presence had vanished. Sakura rushed to Sasuke, who had fallen unconscious, a black, comma-like mark visible on his neck where Orochimaru had bitten him. Naruto stumbled toward them, his movements uncoordinated without Kurama's steady influence. "What did he do to Sasuke?" Sakura demanded, tears streaming down her face as she cradled their teammate. "Some kind of seal," Naruto managed, his own pain momentarily forgotten in concern for his friend. "Like what he did to me, but different. To you?" Sakura looked up, noticing Naruto's labored movements. "Are you hurt too?" "He blocked the Nine-Tails somehow," Naruto explained, lifting his jacket and mesh armor to reveal the seal on his stomach, now distorted by 5 additional spiral marks layered atop the original design. I can't feel him anymore." The admission cost him more than Sakura could know. Over the years, Kurama's presence had become a constant in Naruto's life, advisor, teacher, friend. The fox's sudden silence left a void that ached worse than any physical wound. "What do we do?" Sakura asked, her voice small but determined. "Sasuke needs medical attention and we need to find somewhere defensible," Naruto decided, fighting through his disorientation. "A cave or hollow tree. Something we can protect while Sasuke recovers." Working together, they managed to carry Sasuke through the forest, eventually finding a massive hollow beneath the roots of an ancient tree. After setting traps around the perimeter, they settled in to assess their situation. Sasuke burned with fever, the strange mark on his neck occasionally pulsing with sinister chakra. Naruto, meanwhile, struggled with the unfamiliar sensation of being truly alone in his own mind. His chakra control, refined through years of Kurama's guidance, was now erratic. Even simple techniques required intense concentration.